absolutely miserable.
Oh yeah. I'd rather jump off the Coronado Bridge.
Yeah, it was. I think it took me 4 hours to get there. By the time I actually finally got there, I was not a happy camper. But the kiddo had fun, which was the most important thing. And I told him I'd take him today, but it's supposed to rain, so therefore I figured I would get ahead of it so I didn't have a disappointed 9-year-old.
Yeah. Is that you have 2 boys?
I have 2 boys and a girl. Yes, sir.
And they're Ace and Cash.
Yep. Ace is the 9-year-old. Cash is the 11-year-old, and then Brooklyn's my daughter, which is the 12, almost 13-year-old.
Gotcha.
Hands full.
I could imagine.
Yeah. Pretty cool. We will get about 2 minutes, and we'll get cranking on this big boy. Oh, how'd your appointment go yesterday, man?
I mean, it went good, except for the fact that she had a very specific door. Like she had a picture of a door that her friend had, and she wanted to match it exactly. And we got pretty darn close, except for we couldn't get it in a 96-inch tall.
Yeah.
And so we kind of left it off as she's going to come into the showroom probably on Friday or Saturday.
Cool.
So try to detour her from the exact door. But that app is so annoying sometimes, the Provia app.
Yeah?
Yeah, because like you go to the photo gallery, you design a unit, and you know how you just hit that button, design this unit.
Yeah.
And then the second you change anything about the size, then it defaults to some other like white basic door and deletes everything.
Have you tried to take a picture? Because Provia, that's that tool can be pretty awesome if it's used correctly. Do you know how to take it when you're standing in front of the house and take a picture of it, photo crop the door on there, and change the door style and colors and glass and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when I was in the house, I did that all the time. That's what I would do in St. Louis. I would take the picture of the house. One of the first things I would do, and I would program the door in it. And then I would let them just touch the options they wanted on their door and then kind of choose their own door. They would end up falling in love with it. And then I would tell them, I said, that sounds like that's what you want when it comes time, right? So is there anything besides price and payments going to keep you from moving forward on that? No. Well, great. I think you're going to love what I got to show you, right? And then you get your stuff ready to go present it to them. And you've already kind of done the hard work because people are visual, right? So 80% of people, tag onto that because they like that visual aid. And if they can see it on their own house, it takes the guesswork out. Rather than doing it on a basic house, then then they don't really get the full visual they're trying to conceptualize. When they see it on their own house, it does something different to their brain.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I usually do that. Like even before I knock on the door, I'll take the picture. So that I have it.
One of the other things too, if you look at doors specific, in there, you got to think about it, right? If you talk about like a front door, for instance, and you take, I guess we're getting started anyways, but you take basically 3 different measurements of the like basically horizontal and two different measurements of the vertical. And literally you talk about all 5 different measurements and you talk about how they're all different. So, that's why you explain the difference, right? When things are brand new and they're built, the problem is, there's no real problem at all because we can make the framing fit the door, but after basically the drywall's put on, the framing, the sheeting, all the basically stucco and everything else is finished up to the door or window. Now we're talking about something that's already finished. So we're having to fit a rectangle in basically an out of square rectangle. It means that thing's no longer square, no longer plumb. So if I go trying to shove an opening that doesn't actually fit that opening, what do you think is going to happen to the door itself? Am I going to replace the same thing with the same problem I have now? Or am I going to basically create a whole different set of problems because this door really wasn't made for it? That's where if you don't have the right architect or the right installer out there to make sure it's done, that's why they say 1 out of every 25 window installers actually knows how to install a door, and 9 out of 10 doors walk away day one without a warranty. So if you don't realize how difficult the situation is to do a door inside of a house, it's crazy. Even if you've tried to take an interior door out and you take one of those kits where you just take off the interior door and put the kit on, and you don't have that thing flush and level, that door isn't going to work properly. It's going to start swinging open on its own. There's so many things that can go wrong just on an interior door. And again, you don't expect that door doesn't affect how your house is going to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's not an inside and outside remodel. It's an interior door. If you think about what a pain in the neck it is just installing that, think about what it is. When you depend on that door for security, for water management, for basically that visual appearance on the outside, and not to mention in a place where basically we're so close to the ocean and sea salts and other things are so prevalent, there's more things here that can cause the door to fail than make it succeed. So if we don't look at those little things, again, elephants don't bite, mosquitoes do. We don't look at those little things that can end up tearing you apart, and you're just looking at basically the big picture and you're trying to treat a door like commodity, then of course you're going to be paying attention to price and price only. But when you realize there's so many different things that have to go into putting this door in right, the way it's sealed underneath there, right? The way the sealant is applied underneath the threshold, the way basically the insulation's applied in there, using batted insulation, right? Around the door, we're basically using like a foam type insulation. What's the difference? Realize that in between the door and the jamb itself, if I'm shoving a bunch of batted insulation, which is a lot of people do because of the cost, and the cost is cheaper, our friends at Owens Corning tell you it only takes 3% moisture to that insulation to collapse by a third. So when you look at that aspect, it could be, you could have the best door in the world, but if the insulation around it isn't working correctly, how efficient is your door? Realize they tell you 14% of your energy loss is through your doors. 14%. And they say 38% through your windows. So when you're dealing with the difference, if you only got a few doors in your house compared to windows, think about how much energy you're actually losing out of your doors or windows, right? If your doors are that inefficient, especially your front door, how long is it going to be before there's a problem? Not to mention, if you start selling the difference, so if you break out that Provia kit, what's one thing you notice about that Provia kit that's different than if you go down to like the box store and buy a door? Do you know that, Matt? Do you know that, anybody? What's like 2 or 3 things that are different from a box store door compared to what we carry?
I don't know.
You don't have a clue? All right.
I mean, the material between the door?
Yeah, could be that. Could be anything about it. What are the differences with the door? Give me 3 differences with the door.
I mean the warranty.
Forget about the warranty. What causes a warranty to go bad?
Racking.
What about the door? What about a door from Home Depot would cause it to rack consistently?
The way it's handled.
Could be. All right, let me give you a little tip, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't done it, you should go into a box store and you should look at how some of these doors are made. All right, because what happens is you'll find doors all the way from like $200 for just a basic door slab itself that's unpainted, unfinished. So if you look at it, and I think door is a good topic to roll on today. But if you look at a door, right, if you take your finger around a wood door, especially one that's in the house, and you put it on top of the door itself, you'll feel a wood edge up there. If you talk about the door in between the door slabs, there's a wood edge on that outside. The reason they have to put a wood edge around most of these doors is that's the strength of the door. A lot of times they build it, you can see they put 4 pieces of lumber that sit around the outside of that door. And the reason they do that is to create strength in the frame. Then they put polyurethane in the middle, kind of like if you got a styrene, like if you got like basically a coffee cup, that's what they kind of lay or spray in between that to make sure it's insulated, right? The wrong thing that happens then is the aluminum skins or the steel skins that are on the outside of it, or fiberglass skins, get bent into that wood frame. So literally everything in that door is dependent. The strength, durability, and performance is is basically based on the performance of that wood that sits around that door. And the more people basically look at putting doors in, they don't pay attention to that wood edge, right? That wood edge is one of the leading causes of what causes that door to rack. Think about it. No matter what wood you have in your house, as long as the earth is moving, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, your house is moving because the earth is moving, right? The ground settles, your house shifts. So doors do the same thing. So one of the biggest reasons why you close a door, and you can walk up to any door inside of America, and you close a door, and if you look from the top left to top right-hand corner of that door, you'll notice there's a larger gap from one side of the door to the other. And when you look at that gap from one side of the door to the other, that's considered racking, right? If you think about it, only takes a 16th inch around a normal 3 by 5 foot window. That's the equivalent of a brick missing out of a house, a full brick, right? If you look out of your wall right now and you could see right over your neighbor's house the size of brick, how long would it take you to fix that? And the answer is probably right away, right? And why would you do it? And most people are going to say, because I'm losing all my energy and all the outside's coming in and all the inside's going out. I said, so that would make you uncomfortable, right? So let me ask you, if you take a door and you put a wood edge around there, that's going to cause the same thing to happen. Have you really fixed and addressed the problems while you're getting your door fixed in the first place? Or have you just replaced it with the same exact problem that's in here? So when you start wrapping people's head around that, you can take pictures and show them what happens. You can also jump online. You can see pictures. One of the other problems that happens with your box store doors, after a period of about 2 to 3 years, basically the bottom of the door, the steel skin starts to separate from the wood. Where you ever close a door and you hear that door go, like almost like a spring behind the door itself almost does that. You ever heard that, where the steel starts to vibrate because it came loose from the door panel? That again is because when they crimp that wood in there, they're not expecting that wood, certain things to happen. But remember, wood expands in extreme heats, it contracts in extreme colds. So it's always going to move and adjust to the temperature and condition environment it sets in. Now you think about what's happening on the inside of your house, right? Would you say the inside of your house is most time a different temperature than the outside of your house? So if you think about basically the movement that's happening in that door on a day-to-day basis, it's only inevitable why the average door only lasts 2,000 life cycles. What that means in 2,000 cycles, how many times that door is open and closed in basically in a daily time period or a yearly time period over the life expectancy. And did you realize most doors at Home Depot have a 2,000 cycle expectancy? Think about that, 2,000 cycles. How many times do you use your front door on a day-to-day basis? Think about it. If you just walk in and out of your door and just go in there once a year, you're over 700 times you're using your door in 1 year, right? So now you take the average wear and tear and look at some of the things that can happen. Now, if I use my door just going out and just going in once as one person, that's 720 cycles in one single year. Do you think no matter if it's gliding doors, you think if it's swing doors, whatever that might be, you think there's a lot of things in there that can cause my door to basically go bad. So if I'm not basically paying attention to the overall wholesality of the situation, I'm just paying attention to what I can control, what I'm trying to sell, which is a price. I'm going to be dead in the water if I'm trying to sell price and I don't understand the difference in the quality. So think about it. That's the wood edge part of it. Secondly is the thickness, which is a gauge of the steel, right? Most doors at the box store are about a 24 to a 28 gauge steel door, right? The difference is where we carry a 20 gauge steel door. A 20 gauge compared to a 28 gauge is like taking a 30-pound door. If you ever go into Home Depot, just try to go on the floor in between the doors and try to pick up one of those doors and see how light they are. You could probably pick that thing up and chuck it across the floor and give it a couple of feet because it's not very heavy, right? Do you think about security? When you think about security, what type of things do you think? You think of strength, you think of weight, you think of durability, right? You think of what's going to protect a 220-pound man or a 300-pound man from coming into my house at night while I'm sleeping and protecting my family. And if it's a thin piece of steel that you're trying to get by to save yourself a money, if an experience ever happened like that, where somebody were to break into your house with little to no force and do things to your family that you can never undo or underseen, is a couple $1,000 difference worth the expense of saving a few dollars down the road? Think about that. I don't think there's any dollar figure you could put if damage was done to your family mentally or physically was done to your family because you cheapened up and put a few less dollars on a door, right? So think about the security of that door. Like, what type of locks are in there? Are they type 1 security deadbolts compared to type 2? You realize a lot of burglars now are smart. They can take a function, which is like a torch that they blow, or like a air compressor they blow up, which can release that door from coming in. Second thing they can do is they can take a Sawzall and they can cut the casing on the deadbolt and basically come right through your house without any effort at all. So a lot of times the security of the deadbolt goes in there, right? A type 2 security deadbolt means when those things cut through, which is done in the SLIG category, by the way, that basically the pins spin and there's no way for the teeth to grip, basically of a Sawzall to grip into basically that lock. So again, it keeps your family safe inside the house. So for a few extra bucks, and basically what it costs to get a quality type of basically hardware compared to a cheap type of set, is it worth the money that you would save in the locking system? The answer is no. Type thing is basically a 20 gauge steel, right? You're talking to a 70-pound slab compared to basically a 25 to 30-pound slab. You think about the difference in weight. So for an overall door, by the time you put the frame on everywhere, is weighing about 200, 225 pounds compared to like your, basically 35 to 40 pounds you're going to get at the box store. Is there even a comparison in the type of security that's going to give you, right? You're talking a 20 gauge security strike plate that sets behind that 20 gauge deadbolt. You got all these different things that come into play that makes a difference, right? Did you realize you go buy a door from Home Depot too? They set out the door. So you see that $500 door that might be displayed. You realize a lot of times that's an unfinished door, and it says right on the tag if you don't get it. I mean, Tylene, you're at Home Depot all the time now, right? Go in the back and take a picture of what's excluding the warranty. They tell you if you don't have that door finished, primed and painted within 7 days of the date of installation, you've voided your warranty on that door immediately. There's so many different things, if you're looking, that can help you keep your door on point and help you take yourself to the next level rather than cutting a corner. Terry, I think you need to mute your phone, buddy. But the aspect of what we're trying to accomplish, somebody's giving me some feedback. But what you're trying to look at as far as basically the difference of what you're trying to accomplish in the house and selling value has to do, you can take those three things, right? The wood that sets around the perimeter door, the thickness of the door, and even the security of the deadbolt. Those three things right there can be a gigantic difference, right? Not to mention the installation superiority. You talk about installation superiority, right? What is being used between it? Is it fiberglass insulation, or are we using a foam insulation and building the door to fit rather than making the door fit the opening? Is it the way that the sealants are applied underneath it? If you don't take a sealant and you don't use basically an oxygenated silicone that you use in a swiggle on the bottom of that door, so when it sets down, it spreads the silicone on the bottom of it, or the sealant on the bottom that prevents bugs, dirt, air, debris, water, things like that from getting underneath, and you just set the door on the concrete, there's a major difference in the performance you're going to get. And 90% of it is the performance of it, right? It's like an engine. If I paid somebody that doesn't do engines all the time to come in and drop a new engine in my car because my engine failed, that's going to be all about that mechanic and how he installs and reinstalls everything. Because if you leave one thing off, it could be the difference between a good installation and a bad installation. Because remember, elephants don't bite, mosquitoes do. So if I don't use the right type of sealant, say I use an oxygenated sealant compared to basically an acid cured, you realize when you go to Home Depot, the $2 to $3 tube is an acid cured silicone, which means it's designed to basically break down and fail in a short period of time. And what that means, that time is generally in 1 year to 2 years. That's why they tell you should recaulk your bathtub every 1 to 2 years, right? So if I'm using that same stuff, which is an interior silicone, that's causing my basically window or door to fail or my bathroom sealant to fail, and I'm depending on that thing to set out in the elements day in and day out for long periods of time, how long is it going to be before I've made a bad decision? And a lot of people, Terry, you got to put yourself on mute, big dog. You're not on mute. So when you look at basically the type of things that have to be done there, I got to mute you. Where are you at? Hold on, participants. Terry, you are muted. I don't know where I'm getting that feedback from. Anyways, when you look at the type of things that have to be done on that, Yeah, I got you. Whatever. So when I look at the things that have to be muted or taken care of, not muted, but taken care of on that installation, if I miss one of those things, I've created a bad performance for myself, right? And then the bad thing is most people give you, like for instance, Renewal by Andersen. They give you a 2-year labor warranty, right? Well, the bad thing is you don't even know if the sealants that are provided, especially if they're doing a retrofit installation, are even going to be the correct sealants they're using. They're going to be good for 2 years. And what happens if you get a leak on year 3? They're going to charge you to remove and replace the item that they put inside the house because they're going to tell you it's installed correctly, right? And how do they know and what segments are put on the installer, what segments are put on the company, what segments are put on the product, and how do they know they're even following the installation instructions? You know, there's companies out there such as JELD-WEN that tell you if they don't follow the written installation instructions, put on basically that are put right on the installation instructions themselves. If they don't follow those to a T, they voided their warranty from day one. You think about how many contractors out there learned how to install from a brother, an uncle, a friend of a friend that really have designed themselves to go ahead and basically start to install those doors. And if they start installing it the way they've installed everything else, how do you know they follow that written installation instructions? And 9 out of 10 they don't, which is why 9 out of 10 doors walk away day one without a warranty. So one of the differences at DreamStyle is we give ourselves the specific reasons and installation instructions we expect our people to follow to make sure, number one, you got that factory warranty. On top of the factory warranty, in addition to, we back that by our lifetime DreamStyle installation warranty to make sure that you've got nothing else or no chances, right? In a game of risk where you know 9 out of 10 people walk away day one without a warranty, we want to be that exception, that 10% of the time that you know it's done right every time, right? That's why in San Diego we've been chosen as, you know, basically the number one full service remodel in the United, and basically in San Diego as far as the Union Tribune is concerned. That's why they call us the best in San Diego. We also the number one full service remodeler nationwide 2 years in a row. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. We have more accolades and proof in the pudding on why we do the right job every time. And for the instance we don't, you can read review after review. When we've had to go back, we don't charge them anything to go back and fix it right. Because again, we take ownership from the project from the very beginning all the way to the end. So in today, think about that. Take your nuggets. Why do doors rack? Is it the wood edge that goes around? Am I putting an unfair advantage into something that's causing this project to be successful or not successful? What are the things that we need to be doing on a day-to-day basis? They're going to take our basically project to the next level and exceed our expectations of the customer, of basically the company, of ourselves. How do we set that up in advance? Are you using your tools on doors? You know, Pella's got a fantastic door line. It's expensive, yes, but realize if you're doing the swing doors, there's adjustable hinges. So if we're trying to stick a square in an unsquare opening or a rectangle in an unsquare rectangle, we can adjust our hinges to adjust for the racking of the opening, right? In the Provia line, we machine screw that in. So again, where we machine screw it, we don't have to worry about our basically hinges sagging over time because they're machine screwed. You know, it's your job as a professional to know your product inside and out and not bore the hell out of them with the things they don't care about, but know the unique selling advantages on why what's going on in their house is a problem and why it's unique and why the solution we're giving them is the right problem. For instance, racking of the door. Why can no one else come in there and fix this thing the correct way? Because they're going to put another door in that's going to do the same exact thing as they do. So it's like they're paying to have a prettier door with the same exact problems they called out for to fix in the first place. Wouldn't you be interested how we're going to take care of this problem for you, John and Mary? Here's what we're going to do different, right? So you talk about the way that we do our screws, the thickness of the door, the way our installers come in there and set the door, the sealants we use, the flashing provided, the ice and water shield underneath the seal, all the different things that we do that are different and unique from everyone else, right? Our adjustable threshold, our adjustable hinges on basically the Provia doors. There's so many different aspects that if you just learn how to talk about them, use them, and make them sound unique, people will be eating out of your hand and begging you to move forward, not you begging them to move forward. Remember, be the reason why, not the reason why not. And at the end of it, it's never price. It's basically lack of value built. Anybody got anything that they want to share or build onto that? Was that helpful? I got to figure out who in the heck's on. Not muting their thing too. There's somebody on here secretly listening. What'd you get, Charlie? Anything?
Yes. It's knowing, like you said, knowing the product more. It doesn't matter about price. There's reason that, people like Dana perform every single month. It's not magic, right?
Yep.
And it's the same pricing that everybody else uses, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Well, the one thing about Dana is she forced me to ride with her over and over again, and she worked with me to beat her butt when she first started. And then now she's like a little walking, talking mini me. I love her. And she's got confidence like you'll never see, right? And that's one thing about this thing. It takes confidence, but you got to know your unique selling advantages and why they're different. A unique selling advantage isn't Provia. It's not Pella. It's you. And then the options and things they provide, because remember, a door or a window does not get up and install itself. I could get up and install your door or window for you, and it could be a Pella window or door, and I could jack that install up, and you'd think that's the worst window on the face of the earth. You get an architect or somebody like painting a painting that comes in there and knows how to install that thing and does it to an excellent and executes that play from beginning to end, the best they can do it, and that's going to be the best window or door they've ever seen in their entire life. So 90% of this has to do with the installation of it and the people that are standing behind the installation. Because remember, I could go have a painting, I could have the best brushes, the best paint, and the best canvas in the world, and if you got the wrong artist, it's all going to be a disaster. I could have a marginal, basically canvas, marginal paint, and basically an okay canvas, and literally I could come out there and have a fantastic painter, and he's going to make that thing sing and dance. Now, it might affect the performance and durability based on the materials he uses, but the outcome's going to come out beautiful out to start. But how long and when are you going to know it's going to start to fade or start to wear or start to weather, or what's it going to look like 5 years from now? That's when all the differences matter. It's not what you do today. Everything's beautiful from day one, or you'd hope to be. It's 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you really got to worry about it. And how many times you do the project? Hopefully once. Tylene, what about you? What did you get? Anything? I can hear you for a second, then you remuted yourself.
Were you talking to me?
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's some pretty good info about the door, for sure.
So is there any takeaways that you can use or anything that we did today that might be a benefit?
Yeah, I can use takeaways. What's the best takeaway to use?
Well, what one would you think? Well, you currently, what's your inspection look like?
For a door?
Yeah.
My inspection is I get the customer up and we open and close the door. We look underneath the door, above the door. We kind of just bit by bit kind of tear it apart, really.
Okay, good. Good. So remember, one of the things I would always remind them of, and they're going into, especially if they're trying to shop you, especially people from the Home Depot, right? When you come out of the Home Depot, because they're going to see things on the showroom floor, right? About the door prices and then the install. So you have to explain to them, one of the big differences between what we do and what's there, which I know you could probably do a fantastic job on that. Remember, if they put something in that's exactly what like they have, even though it might be prettier off the start, they're replacing a problem with the same problem they already have, right? So you got to remind them that not everything is fixing or adjusting the reasons they called us out for. So remember, everybody's got specific functions and reasons that they're calling you out for. And if the new product doesn't address the reasons they're calling you out for, it doesn't matter who's selling or how much or how little they're selling it for, right? As we've been taught 1,000 times. So we want to make sure we're getting ourselves into position where we can sell that difference. And, if you don't have it all down pat, get with Keith from Provia or the local rep and try to get some of those little tidbits, or look online at the videos, or find something that you could talk about. And one of the things I don't suggest doing a lot, don't sell the hell out of Provia, sell you. Sell Dream Style. I don't even talk about Provia when I'm in the house. I talk about Dream Style, and I talk about what's unique about this and how we're going to take care of that problem, not make Provia and Dream Style two different companies. I make it one company, one solution, one problem. And at the end of it, they're going to call us for the warranty anyways. So how relevant is it? We chose the product because we feel like it's the best for the customer. So again, you are the solution. Make you it. It's not Kohler on the bath side. It's not bath wraps on the bath side. It's what solution we're doing to help them in their with their problems in their house. With that said, if no one's got anything else to add, I think I'm done rapping. But I appreciate you guys and your time and energy this morning. And we'll see you guys on the board, all right? And if I don't talk to you before, have a happy Thanksgiving, guys. Appreciate you guys and love you, and hopefully you have a great day.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, let's get on the board and end this month strong. All right. Bye, guys.